So we're going to take a look first at using the grid off to the right, and we're going to draw a rectangle. And from that rectangle, we're going to split it into 2 equal parts going diagonally. Which forms 2 equal triangles. Do you see the 2 equal triangles? Okay. Well, if we were talking about the area of the rectangle, we would have done length times width. Would you agree with that? But instead we're doing the area of a triangle, so we're going to do half that area. But we don't really have a length and a width of a triangle. Instead we have the height of the triangle and the base of a triangle. Did everybody see that? So therefore, instead of the length, we're going to talk about the base, and instead of the width, we're going to talk about the height. And there is where the formula for the area of a triangle is arrived at. Questions on that? So our base and our height are always going to be perpendicular to each other. And in a right triangle, we can easily find that because they are going to be the 2 sides that form the right angle. Questions? Anybody? And essentially that's what this whole side is done. I just drew it over there for next. Okay? So we take a look at an acute triangle and an obtuse triangle. Okay. We're going to be using that same formula, only we don't see that right angle. So instead, we still want to know the height of those and the base, keeping in mind that the base and the height are always going to be perpendicular to each other. But if we take a look at this acute isosceles triangle, our height would be as though we were looking at how tall that triangle is, right? So we need to know straight up and down, the perpendicular, how tall it is. So if I would go from here straight down to there, I would get a perpendicular height. Do we see that? Okay. And then the side at which it is perpendicular to would be the base. Are we clear on that? So we can still use area equals 1/2 base times height. But there would be our base and our height. Now in the obtuse triangle, it gets a little more difficult because if we're looking at how tall this is, well, the height is from here to here, right? Well, typically we would draw something outside the triangle to get the height. Does that make sense? Okay, because we want to know how tall a piece of paper would we need to cut that triangle out. The height might be outside, but it would be perpendicular to this base. We don't measure out here to get the base clear out there, but it would have been perpendicular to that. I could have drawn the height here, and so that was the height, right? I could have done it there, okay? But it's how tall that triangle actually is at a perpendicular point from the base. Okay? Does that make sense? So again, we use area equals 1/2 measure the base times the height. Where the base and the height are perpendicular to each other, that measurement. Okay? So we just plug in our information and chug our way through. But you have to understand where that formula came from, not that just it got thrown down on a piece of paper. Okay? Yes? Go back to what we looked at back here. That a triangle is half the area of a rectangle, and that's where that half came from. All right? Okay. Is that enough? Okay. All right? So we just use our formula then. We use our steps that we have been practicing with our other figures. And as we take a look at number 2, we start out with area equals 1/2. We measure the base times the height. Area equals 1/2. 10 is the base, 8 is the height. I can do half of 10 is 5, and 5 times 8 is 40. I can do 10 times 8 is 40, and half of that is, or 10 times 8 is 80, and half of that is 40. I can do half of 8 is 4, and 4 times 10 is 40. The order and the grouping doesn't matter because I have the commutative and the associative property that I'm using, right? Any way you do it, you're still going to get 40 square inches. Does that make sense? Okay. When I look at number 3, number 3 is an obtuse triangle. I still use area equals 1/2 to measure the base times the height. Area equals 1/2. The base is 18. The height is 20. Well, for me, I would do half of 20 is 10. And 10 times 18 is 180, and it is square feet. Yes, no? Does that make sense? Questions on that? Okay. Let's go down and look at number 8. Number 8. For number 8, we have again, okay, that works here. Area equals 1/2 base times height. Our base is 30. Our height is 33. Half of 30 is 15, so now I need to do 15 times 33. So go ahead and work that out and find the area. $495, is that what everybody's getting?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Label? Okay. Are we good with that? Okay. So again, all the stuff that we've worked on throughout the year of evaluating an expression where we substitute numbers in for variables and we simplify, fall right into play with using our formulas here. Okay. More the same, more the same. Okay, questions on that? All right. As we take a look at the next section, on page, which page? I'm finding the page number. I'm gonna have to go under this. On page 117 is where I want to be. Taking a look at number 12. Number 12. We're now looking for a dimension, which means that we want to know the base or the height. We know the base or the height. Okay. So in number 12, we start out with area equals 1/2 base times height. We know the area is 64. We know the base is 16. We don't know the height. What's half of 16? 8. So we have 64 equals 8 times h. How do we get rid of multiplying by 8? Divide by 8, and whatever we do to one side, we... So the height has to equal 8, and our label is? I'm hearing two different answers. Meters or square meters? Square meters. Is it the area? No. Just meters. All right, so let's go back and look at this. If we put in 8 here, what's half of 16? Is 8 times 8 64? Mm-hmm. Okay, then we solved it correctly. Does that make sense? Okay. So is this like earth-shattering brand new to you? Okay. All right. You good with it? Okay. I want you to try number 13 on your own, please. No, not 13. 14. 14. There's one step missing. Anyway, let's see here. The step that goes over here, it should be like the 84 divided by 14. This is 14H divided by 14. Okay? So just put this thing out here. Okay? So that step in there. Otherwise, it was really good. Questions on that? Anybody? Yes. What? Should half of 28 is 14. Okay. Anything else? Okay. That there would be the triangle formula. Okay. Here we go. For your assignment. Take a look on page 113, please. On 113, let's do 2 through 8 and even, 10 and 11. On 114, let's do all. On 119, let's do 10 and 11. And on 120, let's do all. What we do tomorrow, on page 113, you're doing 2 through 8 to even, 10 and 11. On 114, you're doing all. On 119, you're doing 10 and 11. And on 120, you're doing all. Make sure you're showing your steps neatly. Any questions?